feature match area right now. Hello and welcome to coverage of Grand Prix Quebec City. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe in the booth with Kenji Egashira, and we're ready for the quarterfinals here. Kenji, it's been a long road, a lot of grindy matchups leading up to the top 8 here, but we have finally reached it, and we've got Reid Duke, currently ranked number 19 on the top 25 pro rankings, coming in with Esper Control against Dan Lanthier on Dark Jeskai. This is a matchup that Reid will have faced many times throughout the day. Dark Jeskai made up over 25% of the day 2 metagame here in Quebec City. What do you think of this matchup?
We've seen Reid just completely demolish most of these decks time and time again. As long as, he plays it smart and he plays it nice and slow like he has been, I think he's gonna take it down.
Yeah, he did lose one match to Dark Jeskai. The final game culminating, it was against Oliver Polak-Rotman, who's also, by the way, in our top 8. And one thing that Reid said about the matchup is he said he feels like it's pretty favorable, except for there are some draws that the Jeskai deck can put together that are really tough for him to deal with. Specifically, he said if they go Mantis Rider into Mantis Rider, it can be a real problem for him. And it's exactly what Oliver did against him to give him a loss in the Swiss. Reid, though, was able to draw in and finds this matchup again. Now this is a turn to Jace Vryn's Prodigy for Dan.
Potentially. Let's see if Reid has that Clash of Wills to counter it. Now there are 4 Dark Jeskai lists in the top 8 here.
He does not, but he's got a comparable answer here, Kenji, with Ultimate Price to kill Jace. So plan A still on track for Reid Duke here. He's playing a pure control deck. This is Esper Control of the old school variety. We did see some Esper Control lists at the Pro Tour, but they were much more towards the mid-range. They had a lot of Planeswalkers, a lot of kind of tap-out type spells that would get you a lot of advantage as things move forward. This one's not like that, though. This Esper Control deck is long game only.
Yeah, no, I love it. And I like the sideboard innovation that Reid has. He's got a few Dragon Lords in the sideboard that I don't think people were ready for. They often end up sideboarding out a lot of their removal in Game 2 and Game 3 that he kind of just surprises them and gets them there.
We have seen him get people. Now, that's going to be an interesting dance that we'll kind of work our way up to as we work our way into the second game, because players know they have been given deck lists for each other. So there will be no surprises for Reid on that end of the spectrum. All right, but this draw from Dan is really nice, as Reid took his third turn to play Painful Truths. And, that's a pretty big life hit. He's already down to 12 after the Mantis Rider from Dan Lanthier comes down and whacks him for 3. So Reid's already got his hands full here. And, another Mantis Rider back-to-back here could be really tough. And you know what? Dan's got one.
But Reid's holding up that ever-important 4 mana. Not only is it great in the Dark Jeskai list, but in his Esper Control list, Ojutai's Command. That's going to be something that both players are going to think about when they pass with all that mana. So Dan opts not to play that Mantis Rider into the open mana.
He has to breathe a sigh of relief there, especially after this this extra land comes down for Dan. It's not blue, but he does have an island in his hand. If he goes island first, you're thinking you're in Reid's head, you're thinking he's going to play Mantis Rider, I'm going to counter it, he's going to have Dispel, and this game is going to be done. But that's not how this played out. So Reid is down to 9, and Dan has just patiently passed a turn back. Maybe having some technical issues here. If we are, we apologize. We're just going to keep hanging on with you here as we move through.
Looks like it's back. You just got to refresh the page.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing in the chat as well. All right, so let's just continue on, Kenji, as we do have some people still with us live on the stream. Apologies for that. In the meantime, what happened here? Reid Duke did fire off Ojutai's Command to gain 4 life and to draw a card.
Correct. That's putting him back up to 13.
And look at this respect. Planar Outburst to take down Mantis Rider, just one of them.
Well, this is going to set up a nice turn for Dan, who has Ojutai's Command to bring back the Jace and draw himself a card.
And he may be able to flip this Jace as well. He just drew a fetch land here. If he has anything else to get in the graveyard, he could get that thing turned over. And it can slowly become a very big problem for Reid Duke as the game moves forward.
Yeah, I can imagine Dan's in a great spot here. Reid's had to have tapped out multiple turns in a row now. He wants to be holding up mana at the end of Dan's turn and to be able to do something there.
Yeah, the shields are down, as they say. So Reid Duke has to just sit here and observe. The good news for Reid is that the Jace is not getting flipped this turn, as it was actually the Bloodstained Mire that Dan discarded here. So he will have an opening to use maybe some creature removal on Jace Vryn's Prodigy before it gets out of hand. The bad news, though, for Reid is that he's likely to face another Mantis Rider here, and there it is. Dan kind of sequencing out his threats, not overcommitting to the board, and not being and being rewarded for it. So Lanthier looking to be in good position here, as well as Reid Duke just took another hit. And kind of an emphatic draw step there from Reid. I know that he's got an Utter End in his hand. He's got 7 cards. Remember, he resolved a Painful Truths earlier in the game after ultimate pricing that Jace. So he's got a full grip. We saw him use Planar Outburst to take down just a Mantis Rider. He can certainly afford the cards. It's just a tempo game at this point if he can draw this game out as long as possible.
Yeah,
or not.
That Painful Truth's giving him so much card advantage, but again, Dan's been able to apply pressure for every single turn now.
Yeah. He's really made Reid respond on Reid's turn.
Mm-hmm. Again, that's what Reid does not want to do. I saw a Mage Ring Network in Reid's hand, but he's going to opt to dig through time first. Hopefully he can find some answers. You said he had another Utter End in his hand.
He does. He knows he can cast that if he wants, regardless of what he finds with Dig Through Time. And he may want to. The problem is he's just getting hit from 2 different angles right now, because Jace is threatening to flip over next turn, but Mantis Rider will just kill him in a few turns. So, a card like Utter End does really nice work after you've stabilized and they put a tough to deal with permanent down. But here, he really needs to kind of keep getting 2-for-1s and such, and picking off specific threats may be what he needs to do. But it's not like, if he does, then he has to ask himself, would I rather leave you with a Mantis Rider that is going to hit me again, or a Jace? And that's tough.
I think he's probably going to end up killing the Mantis Rider here as opposed to the Jace. Jace is not actually that problematic currently. Dan only having that Ojutai's Command in his graveyard, and Reid having that Utter End can aim it at the flip Jace if necessary. Reid's deck has a lot of creature removal spells, so I think he's going to focus on the Mantis Rider first.
Yeah, this is Dan's upkeep. Reid hasn't done anything. Dan's just going to crack his Polluted Delta here.
Ready to see what Reid follows up with, if anything. No upkeep plays.
Thank you for 3. Yeah, Reid just says, yeah, you did it.
And this is the turn where Reid wants to do it end of turn, so that he can play the game he wants to play. I saw Tasigur in Dan's hand.
Maybe even 2 of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he does have 2 Tasigurs in hand. And he is going to remove everything except for the Mantis Rider there.
Ooh, but an Ojutai's Command from Reid is going to put him in a pretty decent spot.
He actually just gained the life, too. Did not draw a card. He's already got 7 spells or 6 spells in his hand, so he knows that his life total is really what's under threat here. Now, interestingly, Dan did this before activating Jace. He actually didn't want to turn Jace into a Planeswalker. Could have.
Yeah, his hand wasn't very good. He wanted to be able to loot multiple times, and with only 1 card now that he's delved again.
But this is like scary if you're him, right? Another Planar Outburst?
Well, Reid's already used 1,
yes.
And there's only 2 in the deck, so it's not as likely. That's a thing.
Man, that does not make me any less scared that Reid has it. Reid just played Dig Through Time. He's got like 7 cards in his hand.
Sure. And
you just get destroyed if he has it. Now, he doesn't. So we will soldier on. But In the meantime, Tassiger goes away.
I think that might have been another Mantis Rider off the top for Dan.
Ooh, that is definitely not what Reid wants to see. And now, of course, Dan knows that the way is clear.
Yep. This looks like Mantis Rider mana, and in fact it is. Ooh.
Jeez.
Now this is the kind of start that you said Reid did not want to face against.
Yeah, I mean, we're in the mid to late section of the game. Reid has felt behind the entire time, though maybe not by a lot, sometimes by a lot, sometimes by a little bit. Yeah, this pair of Mantis Riders just took over half of Reid Duke's life total in one hit and are threatening to just kill him next turn.
He's felt like he's been down on the back foot this entire game.
Agree.
Anticipate here.
Anticipate, yeah. It's like, come on, planar outburst.
Notice how Dan did not use Jace once again.
He's just waiting.
Yeah, biding his time. It's unlikely he's going to be able to flip it at all. I mean, I don't see any way with the one card in the graveyard currently.
Reid takes his time.
I don't think that was a planar outburst. So if Reid has another dig through time, let's see. Nope, not enough cards in his graveyard either. He's in a tough spot unless he happened to find it there. This could be another anticipate. Yeah, he's digging.
Desperation,
he's
main
digging.
phase, anticipate.
White card. Well,
That was not a super fast
yeah.
sequence. Oh, you got to feel like Reid's going to be in great place if he finds that other planar outburst. Gets rid of 2 Mantis Riders and a Jace in one fell swoop.
Leaving Dan with only one card in hand.
He does have a Shambling Vent down there, which could put him up to 7 and mean that he doesn't die next turn.
Yes, but that's also a chump attack.
Yes. You are
Dan
correct. Hey, how about a chump attack?
You got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, block. Go up to 7. That does buy him a turn. Oh, and there's a Jace as well.
Dan only has to find one of his many burn spells to end this game.
He doesn't have it, but I think he just found a...
Well, that's what he drew.
Oh, okay, that
So-
was his... I think he found a dig, though.
Right.
Oh, and
and
it's
a crackling
Doom. And that is going to doom Reid Duke in this first game. So Dan Lanthier picks up game 1, and he only has to win one of the next 2 sideboarded games against Reid Duke to try to get past him. A tough assignment in the top 8, no doubt about it, for Dan Lanthier, but a solid performance from him there as he kind of methodically went about keeping the pressure on Reid Duke as much as possible. He did open the door there, but like you said, only 2 planar outbursts in the deck, and Reid didn't have the second one to punish him.
Please look at the life total of this game real quick, Marshall.
Whoa, what happened here?
I see at least a Siege Rhino and a Shambling Vent.
Yeah, that's a start, though I don't see how you get to 48 life.
Oh, you know what?
What's going on?
It could have been Warden of the First Tree. Warden of the First Tree, can gain lifelink if you've activated it enough, but...
I thought Jake would be the one at 48 life off of that Jotty offshoot.
Oh, so you know what? Nicholas has a one of Sorin Solemn Visitor in his main deck.
Think you found it.
I'm guessing that the plus there is what happened, and then there was some sort of...
You know, man, I think you found it.
Yeah.
You know, attack with 4 or 5 creatures, and you can get a hit in there that puts you up into that type of stratospheric life total.
Yeah, Jake
Now-
has in hand the one card he needs.
Which is?
You
Big
know who it
Daddy?
is. Big Daddy.
Oh. Is he casting it?
Certainly, well, he's
2,
tapped.
3, 4, 5. He is. So to update you guys, there's Ulamog.
And remember, these cards are exiled, and it's on cast trigger, so even
Yes.
if Ulamog doesn't resolve...
And Ulamog's hungry.
I
Big
think,
Daddy wants some breakfast.
I think Nicholas is on the top deck, too. And you know what?
Oh, my God. So Jake Mondello, thank you so much, Jake. He has been setting this up this whole time for us. And hilariously, the 10-10 is just not that fast of a clock
No.
here. But that was breakfast.
Oh, my.
So the way this has played out over the course of the weekend is that it's taken Ulamog 3 hits, breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Sure.
Sometimes he skips breakfast. Yeah, we know you're not supposed to. But sometimes he does. He goes right to dessert. And that looked like about lunch to me. This was a lot of cards. This game looks like it's gone on for quite a while. And if you're just joining us, Jake Mondello is on a red-green Eldrazi deck that is just a super ramp deck. It's running cards like Map the Wastes. Yes, Map the Wastes. It's got the Archive,
Sorry?
It's got the archive.
The Sanctum of Ugin?
No.
Oh, the Hedron Archive.
Hedron
Oh,
Archive,
to draw
thank
some
you.
cards, sure.
Couldn't remember the first word of that one. I'm like, come on, Kenji. Come on, buddy. I know you've drafted a bunch of these. Yeah, Hedron Archive to get him up there, as well as Explosive Vegetation.
Sure.
And that does it.
Yeah, Nicholas, just not enough cards in his library.
Nom. And a little smile there from Jake. Good for him. His good buddy Ulamog has served him very well today. Finds himself in the top 8.
I did not expect
He's
a
in the
ramp list.
first seed.
Yeah.
And you know what he's doing? And I love this. I really like this about how this deck is playing out, because what we've been seeing is a lot of mid-range grind fests, right? These are the cards, the type of decks that are like, I'll 2-for-1 you. And then they're like, okay, yeah, sure, that happens. And then it's your turn. Okay, I'll 2-for-1 you back. All right, yeah, okay. And then 2-for-1 you back. And then they just sit there and just grind and get a card back from the graveyard, draw a card off the top of my deck, that kind of stuff over and over and over again. And Jake showed up, and he's just like, I think I'll just go over the top of that. I'm just going to ignore all your little den protectors. That's really cute. Knock yourself out. Here's a 10/10. It's indestructible, and it kills you in 3 turns whether you block it or not.
Oh, by the way, I have a 0-3 Wall of Wood to help me get to that late game. Actually, there were a group of players that played this.
The Jotty offshoot deck? That's what I've been calling it, sort of tongue-in-cheek. It's clearly more of an Ulamog.
Sure.
And to be fair, Jake is also playing Ugin, which is a great over-the-top card. And he's also playing Dragon Lord Atarka, which is really good against the heavy creature decks. So, sometimes you just ramp to the beef. It happens.
Ooh la la Mog. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I've been watching that thing in the feature match all weekend. It's awesome.
It is.
Like, I just want to play that deck. I'm not sure that it's the deck I would fall in love with, but I just really want to put Ulamog the Ceaseless Hunger on the stack. Does that make me a bad person?
No, it's just a breath of fresh air. We have seen a lot of the similar builds of Jeskai and Abzan, but getting to play a 10/10, that does feel good.
All right, well, we are underway here in Game 2 of Reid Duke versus Dan Lanthier. And Dan's going to start off with the Dragon Master Outcast. Not a particularly aggressive creature, but, we have seen these things actually do work, right? Because Reid does need to kill it at some point. And it is amazing how much damage a 1/1-for-1 on turn 1 can do against a deck like Reid's.
Yeah.
Where he can just decide to kill it, right? He can just be like, all right, fine, I'll ultimate price it right now and just get it off the table. But otherwise, his plan tends to revolve around a little bit more like, sweep away the board later on or something like that. And that thing can get in for 4 or 5 damage. Well, had it.
Luckily for him, Jace happens to be an 0-2.
Yeah.
Which
now, I wouldn't actually expect Jace to survive too long here. Dan has probably boarded out some number of spot removal spells, but he can't take all of them out because Jace is such a critical thing that you need to answer. If he boards himself into a situation where Reid goes turn 2 Jace and it never gets answered, he can just get buried.
Yeah. I think I saw a duress in Dan's
You
hand,
did.
though, so he's going to pop off the Bloodstained Mire, probably crack off the duress and see what Reid's got going on. But if that's the case, Dan's going to need one of the one mana removal spells. I'm sure he left in some number of Wild Slashes as opposed to Fiery Impulse, but
yeah, exactly.
We'll see if he has that.
All right, so let's take a look at what Reid Duke's dealing with here. So Reid has got, he's got a decent little hand here. He's got Ultimate Price. He's got a Murderous Cut. He's got a Surge of Righteousness. And what is that card at the top, Kenji?
Looks like a Clash of Wills.
Clash of Wills, thank you. And he's also got an Island.
So a nice bevy of removal spells from Reid. Yeah, and if he doesn't take the Murderous Cut, then this dissolve, or rather duress, is going to fuel it a little bit.
He's actually going to take the Clash.
Sure. Oh, it looks like he does have a burn spell here for the Jace, and it is in fact the Wild Slash.
Yeah, just as you predicted. So sequencing perfect here for Dan Lanthier. He is moving himself closer and closer here. Now, remember, the Dragon Master Outcast isn't a big deal until much later in the game. It will peck in for some damage, but I don't want to overstate its impact. Reid can handle that. It's just he needs to keep things moving forward here as far as getting the card draw flowing, keeping those land drops going. He plays his Island that we knew about, but that's the only other land he had at the time. Passes the turn back to Dan.
Yeah, most importantly in Dan's hand, I saw a Flooded Strand, so that's going to allow him to get a Prairie Stream. give him access to all 4 colors in his deck. And since he led with Mountain, Swamp, he can cast, Crackling Doom or Kolaghan's Command or anything like that. He won't be able to cast a Mantis Rider on turn 3, though, because that Swamp is a little bit of a hindrance. But he does have a Tasigur, too.
Now, Dan's decided just to pass the turn back, and this is basically him playing around that Surge of Righteousness from Reid. Now, Reid had a decision on whether to use Ultimate Price or even Murderous Cut if he really wanted, but probably Ultimate Price there on the Dragon Master Outcast. But he says, if you're not going to attack with it, and it's not going to do anything until you have 6 lands anyway, I'll just leave it there.
Yeah, but Reid missed his 4th land drop.
He did. This is huge. Yeah, this is real bad news for Reid Duke. Especially if, some Mantis Riders start showing up.
Let's see what land Dan has here, if any. And so Dan's going to pop off that Flooded Strand, presumably getting the Prairie Stream.
And here's the Jace now for Dan Lanthier.
And we know that Reid has access to multiple removal spells in his hand, so...
Yeah, he will be using one now. I believe that Dan has passed the turn once again. So he's going to Ultimate Price Jace.
Conveniently leaving Murderous Cut in his hand with 4 cards in the graveyard.
And there's an island off the top for Duke.
Which is a great draw. He has Ojutai's Command in hand and a Jace in the graveyard to bring back.
Wow, that was a huge draw for him, hitting an untapped land there. Does he have any tap lands at this point with 2 basics out?
Who?
Reid.
Yes, Shambling Vents?
He's got Vents.
Yep.
A couple of those,
I think
right?
2 of them at least.
Okay. Well, anyway, he hit an untapped land, and he really needed it there. As you said, that lets him leave up Ojutai's Command. If Dan bites here and tries to cast a creature, he can get back a Jace and counter the creature. And if Dan doesn't and just passes the turn back again, Reid could even just draw a card, get back Jace, something along those lines. So that really opened up a lot of opportunities for Duke here. He also still has the ability to use that Murderous Cut in hand if the opportunity presents itself. He similarly has the Surge of Righteousness as well that Dan has declined to attack with his Dragon Master Outcast into the Surge.
Well, Dan hit his 5th land drop here, and I think he might have drawn Duress for the turn, which is insane because that's going to steal the Ojutai's Command and let him cast Tasigur.
No, he just decided to lead with Tasigur, it looks like.
Oh, maybe he didn't have Duress in
No,
hand
he
then.
did.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought I saw him draw
He would
Duress.
have played it first, though, right? We'll try to get another look at his hand here, but I thought for sure I saw it, too.
It definitely looked like it. Maybe he wants to leave Ojutai's Command up of his own.
That just doesn't fight the fight he wants to fight, though. Let's see what happens here. I'm assuming Reid Duke is going to counter and get back Jace. Oh. Well, I don't know if it explains it, but I think the other card in hand for Lanthier is a Kolaghan's Command, maybe?
Okay.
So he wants to be able to kill Jace? Let's see what happens. Counter that. And what else does Reid do? I think the obvious play is to get back Jace, but he could also draw a card here.
Yeah. He does want to hit land drops still.
He drew a card.
Okay. So that's well played because now it leaves Dan.
What a master.
Yeah, in a terrible spot. Or in a worse spot, at least.
And that is a Duress, right? It's Duress Kolaghan's Command in hand?
I'm pretty sure that's what the last card is.
Oh, my God.
Yes.
It was a Duress. So Reid Duke just thrusting and parrying here. Does not open the door for Dan to get value from the last card in his hand. Just leaves Jace down and draws a card instead.
And look at those removal spells in Reid's hand.
This is utter end hitting the bin, but that leaves him with Surge of Righteousness and a pair of Murderous Cut.
Utter end actually really, really great for Reid. It's unfortunate he had to discard it there because it hits the Planeswalker, which is hard for Reid to deal with if Jace flips.
Yeah, and also it just gets rid of Dragon Master Outcast in a way that it's not coming back.
Oh, sure.
We have seen the same Dragon Master Outcast hit play like 3 times in a single game earlier in the day.
So Dan opting not to use Kolaghan's Command there.
Mantis Rider as well.
Okay.
We'll find out shortly. Didn't get a great look at it, but I think that's what it was. Reid drew a land, right? He drew a prairie stream.
Yes, and he played it immediately.
So his hand is 2 times Murderous Cut, 1 times Surge of Righteousness.
All information Dan knows.
And Dan knows it, yep. 5 lands on the battlefield for that Dragon Master Outcast still. And, wow, looks like he's going to throw it in there. You know, this does let him get a little more value from his Kolaghan's command. And Reid says, hey.
Snaps off a quick Surge of
He
Righteousness.
can't wait to get that thing out of his hand. He's going to gain a couple of life as well. And Reid just sits hands in his lap because he knows that Dan knows what his hand is and he can't do anything. So what do you want to do, Dan? It's up to you. It is Mantis Rider. So he was clearing the way for a Mantis Rider, which makes a lot of sense. It does because he's got the Kolaghan's command that he can use to get back the guy later, and this applies more pressure.
Double Murderous Cut in Reid's hand still.
Right,
yeah,
and he knows about it.
So.
Yeah, it's just what is he going to do? Just never play a Mantis Rider? So that does mean, though, that Reid Duke is down to 1 Murderous Cut, 1 unknown card from Dan Lanthier's perspective.
Dan draws a land for the turn. This is going to allow him to cast Kolaghan's plus Mantis Rider if he wants to recast it.
Well, I mean, it's also his 6th land.
Sure.
Yeah, either way, whatever he gets back is going to get Murderous Cut anyway. Another land, I believe, off the top for Lanthier. It may have been something else. But anyway, nothing he wants to cast right now. He passes the turn back to Duke, and Duke's got to be thrilled about this. I mean, he's missing land drops. It still feels like he's a little behind.
Ugh.
Oh, here's a Duress. So we know there's a Kolaghan's command at least, and that's going to force the issue here.
Let's see what modes he chooses.
I am curious.
Almost always do they target the control player and make them discard.
Especially after Reid had missed a couple of land drops and then hit one, so you know that he's got 3 spells in hand unless he's holding one specifically to discard.
Like the master that he is. Yeah.
And he got back the Dragon Master Outcast. That also means that the Duress from Duke hits nothing because it was just a land that Dan was holding in his hand as well, so he kind of baited out the Duress there as well. But again, this all comes down to known information. And what do we know? We know that there's a Murderous Cut in hand for Duke. Oh, and it was a dig through time was the other card.
That is huge.
Wow, no wonder he kept that land. He wanted to protect a dig and a Murderous Cut, knowing that he was going to be facing a threat soon after that Kolaghan's command. So great stuff here.
Yeah, Reid running the full
super exciting game.
Reid running the full 4 dig through time, whereas the Dark Jeskai lists only run around 2, and so Reid's a lot more likely to draw into him. And in this kind of matchup, it just swings the game so much in the favor of the player casting it. The best part is perfect information is known by Reid.
Reid has perfect information. Dan has 33% of perfect information right now.
How about a Jace?
Yeah, he's got half perfect information now. This is a big draw step here for Dan because what did he find? Oh, he found a Jace, which isn't bad. In fact, it's quite good, especially considering that he's now put 2 threats out at once, that the Murderous Cut can only answer one of them. And the big question is, and this is what Reid's asking, is, well, what can you flash back that really hurts me here? And he's got a lot of stuff. Duress, Kolaghan's command to get the value train rolling again.
Yeah, I think the Kolaghan's command is certainly the most scary at the moment.
Okay. Kills Jace, gets back a threat.
I think Reid has another dig through time in his hand.
Goodness, really? Oh, he must have found one off of that other day.
Yeah.
Murderous Cut, Jace.
All right.
Loot. Wow. So what does this mean? Because there's a dragon.
Yep.
It's coming. So what does this mean from Reid Duke's perspective?
Well, I don't think he's played a land this turn. He's opting deciding what to discard. Is that a Shambling Vents? Because if he had hit another black source untapped, Jace flips, he could flashback Murderous Cut, delve away the rest of his graveyard.
Oh, but it's tapped.
It's tapped currently, yeah.
Oh, that's so huge.
And Reid has to decide what to discard here still. He's at a healthy 19, so as long as Dan doesn't draw a dig through time of his own or something like that to really push him over the top, the 5/5's not too scary.
But I mean, he has to kill the Outcast and the 5.
Yes. But remember, he has another dig through time in hand.
Okay.
I'm sure that's going to find another
does
removal
help.
spell. A planner outburst would certainly be really nice here.
Okay, well, there's dragon number 1.
And what did Dan draw?
What did you draw, Dan?
Let's see, that polluted delta.
Polluted delta.
He didn't even. Oh, so
Whoa.
the Jace plused on the
Yeah, of course.
Dragon
Has
Master.
to turn back.
So
Draws a land.
Flames.
Yeah. It's been a good game. This has been a good game.
So let's see. If he plays his 6th land, yeah, he can't dig through time plus outburst if he found it.
No.
He's going to utter end the Dragon Master Outcast.
Okay, so that's.
Oh,
but it was Dispel
yikes.
from Dan Lanthier.
That's brutal.
Wow.
And
So what this means is that Reid is now starting to move much closer to the planar outburst or bust
yeah.
line of thinking here.
So the nice thing is, Dan is presumably going to kill the Jace here.
Mhm.
That's going to put the 5th card in the graveyard for Reid, who then can pop off the Flooded Strand for a blue source untapped. Use the double blue plus the 6th card in the graveyard to dig through time at the end of Dan's turn.
Ah, yes. Good eye, Kenji. That is really nice for Duke here. Oh, that Dispel.
That's assuming Dan doesn't draw something.
Yeah.
I think Dan is empty-handed until his turn, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so
He's out of gas. He played the polluted delta. Last card in hand was Dispel. He used that on the utter end, and here we go.
and
Couldn't see it.
oh gosh,
Crunch. Crunch. So
oh did
Drake. No, Dragon
Okay.
eats
All right.
Jace. Yeah, yeah. And 1 damage gets through to Reid, and no follow-up play from Dan.
just a snap crack, and we're gonna see that dig through time. If this gets countered,
If this gets countered, that's probably game, right? He takes 11. He'd have like 1 draw step to hit something. But if it doesn't, he is going to find action. I mean, look, even if he doesn't find a planar outburst, he's going to find a way to keep the cards
Sure.
flowing here and at least live a turn or 2.
actually, you know what? A land plus Ugin on -1. Oh, baby.
Oh, kills all the dragons.
That would feel good. And the Outcast.
Oh, man.
So there are a lot of combinations of cards that Reid could hit.
Yeah, and at this point, there's no playing around anything for Duke. It's not like he
Yeah.
can get cute. If Dan has a negate, I think Dan maybe had
There
a
is
negate
one
in
in
the
the
board.
sideboard.
Yeah, then hey, whatever. But also, Dan just drew a card for
Yep.
the turn and passed after attack. So there's really no reason to think that. So
Let's get a glimpse.
what does he have? Oh,
Don't do that to us, Reid.
Reid, how dare you? Oh, he peeks back at that 1 card he's got in his hand, which is that still a murderous cut, or did he use both? I actually can't remember now, but let's see what he can find. Now, 2 cards.
The slow roll is real.
What do you got, Reid? Ugin? Land Ugin?
Oh, wait. Sorry. I thought he had an extra land
Thought
after
he
that.
did too. Where did it go?
Did he not? Maybe I miscounted.
Huh. Well, then we both did.
I could have sworn he had 7 lands.
I thought
one
so
of them
too.
being the Flooded Strand.
I thought so too. All right, well, here we go. Back to Dan Lanthier, who's now made 3 dragons off of this pesky Dragon Master Outcast that has just really put a dent in Reid Duke's day here.
I saw an Ojutai's command in Reid's hand. I think I saw either an Anticipate or another dig through time.
Okay.
All right.
That's 11. You get 12 that you've taken for the turn, Reid.
Did Dan just play a land for the turn?
No, I can't tell if he's just got the 1 card or the
Okay.
second. You're supposed to pay attention to that.
I'm sorry. I was
Stop looking at the chat.
I was seeing if chat caught that, if
This is
the
your-
land
this
was the
is-
7th or whatever.
This isn't your stream. Although, looking at the chat, you wouldn't really know.
My chat's also not working, so
Newmont Gross.
well, we'll see if it's Newmont game here in a second. It
All
was a
right.
dig through time for Reid. Perfect.
Okay.
So man, the fact is he's also shuffled his library multiple times, so, even if he had been whiffing, he could still whiff again.
True, good point. He hasn't been able to take those cards, put them on the bottom.
Yep. Oh, was it?
Oh, it got negated. He did have the negate. He could go land here.
Ugin!
Ugin? He has
Yes!
it! Reid Duke
Oh.
casts Ugin! He's at 5 life.
Wow, -1 takes care of everything on Dan's board. Dan
Also exiles it, so cards like any command can't get it back.
Is that another outcast in hand?
Wait a minute. I think that Dan may have just drawn Sarkhan.
That doesn't kill Reid.
Does it not?
4 damage, right?
Oh, it's 4. You're right. He's at 5.
The loyalty will be 5, but the damage is 4.
I think that's what he drew.
Hold the baby, Reid. Please. I want to see a game 3.
What about Dan?
Well, he
You
doesn't.
don't have any love for Dan Lanthier?
No,
Come on,
I
this
do.
is a
No.
young up-and-coming Magic
I
player.
just want to see a game 3.
All right.
I am impartial.
I do too.
I am
I'm
impartial.
with you. I want to see a game 3 also. All right, so he decides to attack Ugin, which puts Ugin down to 2 and means that he can't take out Sarkhan with the minus.
Correct.
Now, he can plus it to take Sarkhan down to 2, but then Sarkhan ges to kill Ugin.
Yes.
Oh, look at that. Yeah, it is that time, Reid Duke. Hands on head.
Not like this.
Oh, man. This has been a great game.
Oh, I love it.
Dan with that negate. So brutal.
I think I see a Dispel in Reid's hand.
Well, that doesn't really get the job done here.
It's going to protect him from any burn spell off the top of the deck, though.
Oh, like if you were to draw a burn spell,
Yeah.
he could just be like, attack you, you're dead?
Yep.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, and Ugin is down. Reid does not have a Haven either to try to get it back.
Yeah, and even if he top decks a Haven, he cannot cast Ugin in the same
Right,
turn as
he can't-
activating
Yeah,
it.
he can't do it all.
Soulfire Grandmaster the draw.
Well, that does mean that it's a lethal attack in conjunction with Sarkhan. Looks like Reid's going to charge up his Mage Ring. Oh, no, he's got something
He's
else.
got the Ojutize command still,
Okay.
I believe.
So he's going to counter and draw a card?
Yeah, there's no other creature in the graveyard, and gaining 4. Well, actually, that does increase the clock by 1.
It would be 1 extra turn. Put a counter on this.
All right, Dispel still in his hand. 2 unknowns. Oh, looks like he drew a spell. Maybe not.
It's
Whoa.
painful truths.
Oh, my.
And he's just going for it here.
Yeah, if he doesn't cast it now, he's probably not getting another chance to.
But this means that he's dead on board if he doesn't find an answer. He's at 2.
What can he draw? He can,
An Ojutize command would keep him alive,
sure, Utter End.
which I think is
Oh, you know what?
exiled? How many of those does he have?
Of what?
Utter End.
2?
Okay. Anticipate.
He can find us. Oh, he can't find Silumgar's command anymore.
Sarkhan's indestructible,
Surge of
right?
Right. Oh, no, it can't be
That's
destroyed.
what I was asking.
Oh,
Oh,
shoot.
no. He does gain 2. Does that save him? No.
Come
He passes
on.
a turn. Let's see what he's got.
Well, Dan obviously goes for the play here, but
Yeah, that much is straightforward for Dan just to rumble. Is that good enough? It's 4 damage, Reid. It's good
Extends the
enough,
hand.
and Dan Lanthier defeats Reid Duke in 2 games to move on to the semifinals as the 2 players have a chat. So great run by Reid, but it will end here in the quarters. He's going to have to settle for another GP top 8 on his resume, but no trophy today. Looks like we may have moved in another match on the back table there as well.
looks like a mirror match. Dark Jeskai, Dark Jeskai.
Also, I can tell you that Jake Mondello.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, the ramp deck?
Oh, he's in.
Oh, baby.
So Jake's through to the semis. Dan Lanthier's through to the semis.
Now, I think one of these players had a really different take on Dark Jeskai than any of the other players, because we have 4 Dark Jeskai decks in the top 4 here, but I believe, let's see. Yeah, Edgar has an interesting take on the Dark Jeskai list. Instead of running Tassigars or anything like that, he's got a few swaps. He's running 3 Pia and Kirin Nalar.
Whoa, that is way different.
I don't think we've seen that card at all.
No.
At all.
And he's running Hanger Backwalker as
Hanger
well?
Backwalker is a 4 of.
Okay.
2 Draconic Roars with no dragons in the deck, but 3 damage is huge in this format, taking out, Mantis Riders, opposing Mantis Riders. He's not running any dig through time, Marshall.
Jeez. Well, that's a way different take here.
Yes, but he does have 2 Treasure Crews, 1 Sorin, Solemn Visitor in the main. His sideboard, though, looks pretty cut and paste as far as the Dark Jeskai lists are concerned, but yeah, I mean, Pia and Kieran Nalaar,
that is a thing.
That is a cool one.
So Edgar's got a nice turn going here. He does find himself down a game, though, to Omar Beldon, and that was a great turn, though, for Edgar. He had tap land, Fire Impulse to kill your Jace, and still put a counter on my Hangerback Walker, though Omar's not done yet. He has kind of been running the tables this weekend, too. He was undefeated overnight, really just kind of crushing today.
Yeah.
Not surprised to see him in the top 8 at all.
Kolagon's command going to make Omar discard a card in addition to killing the Jace. So you said that Jake with the green-red Eldrazi ramp won his match?
Yeah, Jake is through
Okay.
to the semis. Dan Lanthier's through to the semis. Oliver Pollock-Rotman and Pascal Maynard, I believe, are still playing.
Gotcha.
I haven't received an update, at least that I can see easily here.
All right, a Painful Truce from Omar, who's running, again, a card that's a little bit different, although this time it's on Omar's side of things.
Yeah, actually, we've got the Oliver Pollock-Rotman and Pascal Maynard on Turbo, so we'll probably be checking that out.
Awesome.
So I will curtail any updates that I do get. And it's all Hangerback Walkers all the time here for Edgar, as he's got 2 of them down with a combined 4 power and 4 toughness against nothing from Omar.
That's going to be a huge problem for Omar. The standard Dark Jeskai lists, that was just going to say,
less of a problem.
only have Utter End as a great way to deal with a huge Hangerback Walker.
All right, well, do they have a way to deal with Mantis Rider? Because that thing's coming in.
There are ways, but you never want to see that when you're down this far.
All right, well, Edgar's out of cards. Now, he's significantly ahead on board, but look at Omar's hand.
Oh.
How the heck did this happen? Omar has 7 spells in hand.
So the Painful
and
Truths.
Edgar has 0.
The Painful Truths. Drew him 3 cards.
Wow, I'm kind of into that.
I mean, I guess so, yeah.
Look at this. 6 spells versus 0. There's no way Edgar can come back from this, right?
You know what? There's another Utter End in Omar's hand, too, to take care of that pesky Hangerback Walker. Kolagon's command, Ojutai's command, Dispel, Negate. His hand is stacked.
His hand is stacked up. Looks like he's actually thinking about just killing the Walker now with a Kolagon's command. It's interesting.
Getting back the Jace. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it. It does leave Edgar with some threats, which is annoying.
Again, Edgar's deck is so different than the normal Dark Jeskai lists. Omar probably realizes the Utter End is going to be a better save for maybe Sorin or another Hangerback Walker, potentially. If he can deal with that one so easily, he might as well. So apparently Edgar mulled to 5 this game.
That makes more sense. Okay, now the full story comes in. So not only is Edgar on 5, but Omar also resolved Painful Truths. So that makes more sense, right? Because it's weird to see somebody with a grip look at that grip versus a guy sitting there with his elbows on the table and no hand to speak of. That just doesn't happen that often in these type of matchups, unless you have something like a mull to 5 and a Painful Truths on the other side. So mystery solved.
Yeah, Omar's still on the back foot, though. It looks like he's going to Utter End the Jace, which leaves Edgar, with another opportunity to top deck something nice. He's got 2 creatures on the battlefield. He can top decks like a Mantis Rider.
How about a Mantis Rider?
Yeah.
Did he look at it? Very fast draw.
Pia and Kieran.
Yeah. Outcast is almost good.
Close. That's going to need a removal spell, if Edgar draws a land, obviously.
Yeah, I feel like Omar just wants to see lands finally now. Like, he's been on 4 since we've came here, and I think he realizes that, like, He just needs to deploy all these cards from his hand, and he did find one here.
That was a tapped Prairie Stream.
That's correct.
So he's still holding up Negate, Dispel, and Disdainful Stroke, it looks like. All right, land from Edgar means Omar is going to have to deal with that Dragon Master.
Yes.
We're going to see a loot here.
Answer found. He found a Kolagon's Command.
Not to mention all of the cards in his graveyard that he can flash back.
Yep. Oh, yeah, the world is Omar's oyster here. He just has to figure out how to manage the threats and then eventually close the door on this game. He certainly should win this game from the position that he's in. He's taken a lot of extra damage from those Thopters.
He's like, you want to kill both my Thopters?
Well, close. He did kill one of them. He destroyed target artifact and then also did 2 damage to the Outcast.
Sure.
So he has whittled him down to just the 1 Thopter. Omar committed to leaving up Negate.
Dispel and Disdainful Stroke.
Yeah, but Omar's down to 5. Oh, wow.
All right.
That's not really going to get it done, though, is it?
So I think he would be better
Just to
play
this?
No, to utter end on upkeep so that Omar would
Oh,
have
you're
to
saying
tap.
Edgar.
Yeah, yeah.
You're right.
Yeah, I think so.
He just fired it off there.
Mm-hmm.
And now, finally, Omar has fully stabilized this board as the Thopter's attacking for a whole 0. I guess he just felt like tapping it for some reason.
I mean, Omar's the one that's turned the corner, but Edgar's the one that ran into the wall.
Yeah. I like that. I think you're right. Where's the pendulum, though?
There's no pendulum right now. Let's see what Omar wants to do. Another Kolagon's Command. I think that's his 3rd.
Oh, he's actually going to kill that thing?
Wasn't, yeah.
I wasn't really doing anything. Jace is just ticking up anyway. And Edgar, I'm getting some body language here.
Yeah, well.
It looks like he's bummed out. I don't blame him at all, for what it's worth. He is not in a great spot. He knows he needs to play it out, but he is kind of at Omar's whim here.
Looks like Jace is going to uptick. And Omar has found a string of lands, which I think he's perfectly happy drawing.
I think Edgar just drew and shipped the turn back. Yeah.
Looks like you might see dig through time. Or was that what? Second? No. Disdainful Stroke still. Another land for Omar. Found a Nomad Outpost. Looks like he's going to flash back. Can't quite see exactly. Kolagon's Command. Okay.
Number 10.
Effectively.
Yeah. We've seen a lot of Kolagon's Commands this game. Now what is he going to do with this?
Well, I don't think he has any creatures in his graveyard to return.
He's just going to make him
discard. Sorry, he has a
discard
Jace.
and get back the Jace.
Little insurance policy in case this Jace dies. But, I mean, granted, his hand is full of counters of all varieties. Right, end of turn Ojutai's Command. This is Edgar's chance.
Yeah, this is a counterable spell here. I think that Omar is going to want to get rid of this. But he's cracking a Polluted Delta here?
I believe so. Oh, yeah, maybe not.
Yeah, the one in the middle.
Gotcha, okay.
Yeah.
Puts him at a precarious amount of life.
Yeah, I mean, getting down to 4 life is starting to get a little sketchy. I'm assuming he has enough answers in his hand to not really worry about the next, 3 or 4 threats or whatever. Yeah, definitely. He's got an Ojutai.
So I think he left that Polluted Delta on the battlefield accidentally.
It's this one here in the middle of the graveyard.
I see. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he put it in, and then they kind of wanted to get the whole graveyard on the screen.
Gotcha, there was graveyard to the side. Okay.
Yeah, it was weird.
That makes sense.
Omar's throwing us some curveballs here, but we'll keep it up. Passes the turn back to Edgar. Tick-tock. And when is Omar going to find a threat?
Well, I think Omar's hand is pretty
answer heavy?
Yeah, so I think he's fine just grinding it out. The Jace on 3 can flashback just about anything. Maybe he'll flashback Painful Truths, give us game. Could have won.
I wouldn't be surprised if he just fired off one of those Ojutai's commands as well to put him up to 8 and just draw a card. I mean, he doesn't need to do that, but he's got 2 of them in his hand.
Well, the nice thing is because he has so many Jaces now, he can, use this Jace, flashback something, flip the other Jace, get a new Planeswalker. He even has a 3rd Jace in his hand.
Goodness
he can just
sakes.
chain them all.
All right, so what is he going to get? Another Kolaghan's command? Yep, that's what he's getting. Or no, maybe it was a duress. Because I saw Edgar reveal the card, and then nothing happened.
Well, there's a win condition for you. Dragon Master outcast the draw.
Yep, that counts. Well, this worked out nicely for him. It looks like he was clearing the way for the outcast, so he wasn't. He didn't have it yet, but maybe he knew.
So double Ojutai's command and a Disdainful Stroke in Omar's hand.
And you got to figure if Edgar doesn't find a way to deal with this outcast immediately, then this game's just done.
Mm-hmm.
What is this? Ojutai's commands going on the stack. Get back another Jace. And what else?
Gain 4 life, it looks like.
Okay, go back to up to 8.
Just put him. I mean, he has full complete board control. He might as well put himself in a healthy amount of life.
There's an Ojutai's command off the top for Edgar. It just doesn't look like it's going to do what he needs getting done here, though.
Yeah, and we know that Omar has that Disdainful Stroke in hand.
Mm-hmm.
I knew Rhinos traveled in crashes, but I didn't know Jaces traveled in whatever Jaces travel in, Marshall.
I don't know what they travel in either, but there's a lot of them. Trigger this thing, he says. Make a dragon. Yeah, I think that's about the death knell for Edgar.
I think Omar drew his 4th Jace.
Did he really?
Yeah, I think so.
It's pretty crazy.
Unless that was the one that was already returned, I'm not quite sure. But
he does have another in his hand in any case. All right, here's Ojutai's command for Edgar. Says, let's draw some cards. Disdainful Stroke, no sirs that. And we are just working our way. And another land off the top. How much more can Edgar take?
Yeah, land. He needed to draw something there. Dig Through Time would have certainly put him back in the game potentially.
But another dragon just makes it so much harder for Edgar to come back from this. Yeah, hit for 6, and he's going to be dead next turn.
These Dark Jeskai lists don't have too many ways to deal with large creatures like that.
Right, especially in multiples, right? They just don't have sweepers of that magnitude. Yeah, this is a tough one for Edgar. The mulligan to 5 is really rough. Omar had a particularly controlling draw here, and it's just land off the top. So it just wasn't to be for Edgar. A solid finish and a nice top 8 for him, though. Congratulations, Edgar. I know it doesn't feel like it at the moment, but it was a good weekend for you, and really impressive. You're qualified for, the PT or whatever, and pick up some pro points and all that. But for this round, Omar Beldon, he is the one who is going to move on to the semifinals. He's going to join Jake Mondello and Dan Lanthier.
And we have a match on Turbo, I believe.
We do.
And that is between
still be going.
Pascal Maynard and who else?
That would be Oliver Polak-Rotman.
Oliver Polak-Rotman.
Yeah, that's pretty.
All right.
That's pretty good.
Here we go.
All right, so let's see who wins this. This is going to be a weird one. So we're talking about Dark Jeskai on the left in Oliver's hands. But on the other side of the table, it's Pascal Maynard playing 4-color Rally. And we had him on camera yesterday as well. And this deck's hard to play.
Yeah.
He had some really complex board states. Their match basically was game 1. There was a little bit of game 2 played, but game 1 ate up like 40 minutes of the clock. And it's a tough deck to play for sure.
Actually, that was his winning in on day 2.
For day 2.
Yeah, for day 2. And so he's gone, what?
He's running right off.
501.
Crazy.
Yeah. So
yeah, great point.
Had a great day 2. He actually only had his list, I assume, only runs the Sidisi's Faithful to deal with Jaces. And you don't know how many times I've seen these rally decks bounce Jace just super early.
Just get him out of there.
Exploit myself.
Yeah, you know, we saw Pascal use it to get on Offensive the Foremost off the battlefield because that card is very annoying for this rally deck. In the meantime, we see Catacomb Sifter here for Pascal. And even at turbo speed, this one's moving pretty slow. Not a lot of action in the early stages, but a nice start here for Polak Rotman. He looks like it's turn 4, and he has played a Mantis Rider, and then on his 4th turn he played a Jace.
Looks about right.
Wow, that was crazy.
Yeah, he just wanted to scry, it looks like.
Just wanted to scry, and Oliver's like, sure, man.
Remember, these players do have access to the deck lists of the other. So I think
there's no giant growth in Pascal's list.
I think Oliver realized, okay, block.
Yeah.
Now, this could obviously be setting up a huge rally, but...
Yeah, I mean, that is one of the things that Pascal, of course, doesn't mind having creatures in his yard. In fact, in some ways he prefers it.
There's a second white source off of that Windswept Heath. And Oliver, a little bit stuck on lands, even though he's had that Jace activation for a few turns.
Mm-hmm. Now the Mantis Rider has been shrunk down by Jace.
I think I see a Smoldering Marsh, Oliver's hand off the top.
Yeah, I'm sitting right next to you, buddy.
What? Oh.
Taste it. Mantis Rider gets in for 1 damage after Jace flips, but that is, in fact, land number 4 here for Oliver. He is going to, or Pascal, excuse me, is going to attack with Elvish Visionary.
Oliver does have Negate and Dispel main deck. Negate's a little bit different. We don't usually see too many of those cards.
Yeah, that's true.
Dispel.
How many Dispels?
Just one of each.
Okay.
One Negate, one Dispel. So it looks like he took out one of the Dispels for a Negate. I don't think you're a Smoldering Marsh. I guess I'll give you a Cool Marsh, though.
Rich Hagen said I was Smoldering Marsh at the Pro Tour, and he wouldn't lie. He's from England. They don't lie there.
You would extend the truth, maybe. Fabricate.
I mean, I disagree, obviously.
And then he'd find an artifact, of course.
So this game has been a little strange in that it's kind of slowly moving forward. Oliver hasn't seemed to do too much. His graveyard's nice and full. He's flipped a Jace. He's got a Mantis Rider. It's not like he's done nothing. But I think he's just been kind of chipping away in the air pretty consistently here with the Mantis Rider. And I'm assuming that Pascal's life total is starting to get fairly low.
Well, it has to be extremely low.
There was 2 turns with a Jace shrinking down.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, so it wasn't 3 every single turn, but still. There were multiple turns of 3s here as well.
Correct, and no cutthroat for no cutthroat for Pascal, who now has a rally. Oh, is this gonna meet Dispel?
Oh, it does.
Ouch.
Main deck Dispel just nabs Rally the Ancestors out of Pascal's hand, and I'm assuming this is gonna put him in a really tough spot now.
Yes.
I mean, maybe he has another one.
He does have quite a few cards in hand.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Plan A, Elvish Visionary Beatdown, has been implemented.
Now, did Oliver not block?
He did not block.
Okay, so he's leaving those on the battlefield. He doesn't want to get them in the graveyard for
You're
another
right.
rally.
It is why. Crazy.
End of turn Ojutai's command going on the stack. Pascal has access to Collected Company and Rally the Ancestors as instant speed cards.
Here's another rally. But it looks like it got countered, and that means that Oliver wins. It went on the stack. They looked at each other. Something happened, and then the game ended. So I'm going to say that was Oliver, as no cards came back from the graveyard into play. So, yeah, no sack outlet there. For Pascal made it pretty tough. Is that a Jace there for Oliver? Okay.
Just the best 2-drop that he could play.
Yeah, it does snap off the block, too.
Ooh, a Duress.
Yeah, it can take some pretty key pieces. It can also whiff. It looks like it's going to get a Dispel here. Is that the only?
No,
that's a Collected Company.
Yeah,
oh, hello.
That is the important card.
There we go. That's a nice target.
And you know what? I think Oliver has a Dispel of his own in hand. Yeah, at the top there. A Mantis. I think a Crackling Doom, actually. Fiery Impulse. And a blue card, I cannot tell.
Wow, that was a great turn for him. Look at that. Fiery Impulse, kill your Jace. duress away your collected company, and yes, I do still have Dispel up in case a disaster happens. That is great for Oliver Polak-Rotman as he's trying to move through here. Now, Oliver did win a GP in Europe. I think it was earlier this year.
Pascal's no slouch himself.
Also a GP winner last season. He was making that big run to be the GP champ.
Oh, yeah, the GP champ.
The GP champ,
over Alexander Hayne,
right,
who ended up taking it at the end there.
That's correct, in Dallas. Curious to see how that race shapes up this year, though. It does take a little while to kind of see who's doing well and who's willing to be traveling.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of an important factor, too. Sometimes the person with the most GP points early in the season isn't really in contention because they might not go to as many GPs. We're, of course, talking about the World Championship invite slot that you get for having the most pro points at GPs, and that part's not capped. Your normal one for your pro points level is capped at 6 GPs, but for that one they just add up all the points you get at GPs, and you can earn yourself a seat in the World Championship that way. And like Kenji just said, that went to Alexander Hayne, with Pascal coming in second place.
Pascal with another kind of poor start. That
this does not look good.
Yeah, the duress on that collected company really neutering his hand.
I don't see how he can do much with all these lands either. I mean, he just doesn't have a lot of action going here. Now, the good news for Pascal is that his life total doesn't seem to be under any immediate threat, but Jace is generating value. Now, here's a Tassiger. He's falling way behind as Pascal Maynard here.
Yeah. Jace flashed back the duress to hit the Dispel that he knew about. And there was a blue card. I'm not sure which. It might have been a second Dispel. Yeah, Pascal has 3 Dispels in the sideboard, so I think he does have another Dispel in hand.
Okay.
Looks like Oliver clearly ahead here. Not much going on for Pascal, who just shrugs. Let's see what he can find here. Island Go is not where Pascal wants to be. I think Oliver is firmly in control at this point.
It does look like Oliver's in control at this point.
Second Jace unflipped hits the battlefield.
All right, well, we'll just watch this one to its conclusion here to see who wins, though. I will say that it looks like Oliver is significantly in the lead at this point, as that is way too many lands there.
And actually Pascal.
For Pascal, who's now completely out of gas as well.
Empty-handed.
And Oliver is completely not empty-handed, and now he's got a whole lot more going on. Oh, there's a collected company off the top, though, but that got countered. That was about the best draw he could hope for at that point, and it got snapped off.
Yeah, either that or a rally.
Right. And now there's a dragon for Oliver Polak-Rotman, and we can see where this is going. I would be shocked if Pascal Maynard was able to find a way out of this mess.
Digging with Jace. Oliver kind of going through the motions here. Wow, he has a Soulfire with a ton of mana.
And that does it.